What's your pro-choice position?
My specific pro-choice position is going to be a conjunct of past or present and future sentience. But I mean, right now, in context of my position, I remain slightly agnostic because I think there's some issues with it, but I'll still run it.
So when you say conjunct between past and future sentience, what does that mean? Or consciousness, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, like I'm going to give value to all entities in which would meet this conjunct, like i.e., like I could explain this to you through examples. Like if, let's just say an entity has sentience that has been expressed in the past or present and will be expressed again in the context of the future, I'm going to value it.
So you said that you value people so long as they have a conjunction between past and future sentience or consciousness? Or are you just cashing those out to be the same thing?
Yeah, we could just say desires.
Desires? What are desires, by the way?
Yeah, I'm like we could just reference this as consciousness, or like I'm not really up for the meta conversation.
Okay, you just said consciousness or desires, and desires are consciousness. What are desires? What does that mean?
Dude, I'm not here for a fucking stupid meta conversation.
Wait, you can't tell me what your own position means? What are desires?
Bro, I'm gonna value like any entity in which like has the ability to deploy subjective experiences, sir.
Okay, what is a subjective experience thing?
Bro, I'm not here for meta. Like I'm just not gonna.
Are you running from me right now?
Okay, I'm just not gonna engage in meta conversation with you. It's just
why are you running, bro? Why is this kid running? What is a subjective experience? Just tell me what that is.
Okay, I'm not gonna engage in meta conversation with you.
Oh my God, he's running. This is what he did in Tashika's live. You just keep running from me, bro. Just tell me what a subjective experience is, and we can have a conversation about it.
Bro, if we can't like agree on like a basis of what subjective experiences are, like
no,
what
I know what it is. No, I have an understanding of what it is. I don't know what you mean when you say subjective conscious experience. So just tell me what you mean. What do you mean by subjective conscious experience?
Yeah, so like we could cash this out in the context of examples, right? Like the experience in which you are perceiving through your quality.
No, I didn't ask for an example. I asked you for what the subjective conscious experience. What do you mean when you say that word?
Yeah, could I like explain this through examples or?
No, you can't. I want you to tell me what a subjective phenomenal experience is.
Brother, I feel like you know what this is.
No, I don't. I'm asking you what it is.
Okay, well, like once again, like we're just gonna define like subjective experiences as some type of like qualia, and which is going to be independently different from other forms of qualia and subject to mind.
Okay, so it's some kind of qualitative phenomenological experience that's indexed to a mind, correct?
Yep.
Is the mind identical to the brain?
No, I'm a substance dualist. This is just really weird.
Okay, like, so you're a substance dualist, and you believe that these experiences that people have are found inside of their mind, not necessarily the brain, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. When does this experience begin?
Yeah, it's most likely to begin at about 24 weeks.
Right? Okay, and why? What reason do you have to believe that it begins at 24 weeks?
Yeah, like after looking at the empirics, right, we could denote that that is the most like reasonable point in which it would start, right? There's like some evidence that it could start earlier from like the 60s and like 80s. However, if we were to like base our position on what is most likely to occur, right, we could say about 24 weeks.
What does empirics tell you about the mind?
Yeah, as a substance dualist, right, expressions of consciousness are going to be dependent upon interaction between the immaterial mind and material brain, right? And we can like measure these to the best of our ability, and like basically, right, we have empirics to note that this is most likely to occur at 24 gestational weeks with the thymocortical connections, right? However, right, my position in theory doesn't necessarily like hinge on the empirics. Right, the empirics could be different, and the position would still be the same.
Is qualia a quantitative property?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any definite views on it. I don't claim any knowledge about qualia.
You don't claim any knowledge about qualia, but your position rests on qualia?
Yep, I claim enough baseline knowledge to like make a particular claim.
Why would we accept your position to be true if you don't even take any positions on it?
Yeah, I take enough of a position like index claims. However, like when we're specifically like asking questions on what qualia is, how it functions, if it's qualitative or quantitative, right? All of these are going to be like very relevant to like my philosophy of mind, but not necessarily like relevant to my position on abortion.
Yeah, no, it is relevant because your position, your justification. Yeah, I'll tell you how it's relevant, right? Because you're going to say that you're going to take the considerations of like, you know, a conjunct between like subjective experiences, that it has to be a conjunct between past and future. I don't know what the fuck that's doing there, but you're going to say that those considerations override any obligation that the mother has to sustain the fetus's life, correct?
Wait, I don't think that the considerations would like override an obligation. I'm saying like an obligation cannot occur without these considerations being met. You're just silly and mad because you don't have a
say
productive
that there's
conversation.
no
This is so
obligation
embarrassing for you.
given some set of conditions, correct? That's what you're going to say.
Bro, I just said that 10 seconds ago. Can you not track, kid?
Okay, so if that's the case, then your position does hinge on this conjunct between a past and a future experience. Thus, why we're having this conversation, okay? But yet, when I ask you questions about your position, you say, I'm agnostic. I don't really know. I can't tell you what qualia is. You're like walking this tether because you're not even strong on your own position. But yet, you have the confidence to question everybody else about their positions, though. But you don't even have a strong position on your own.
Yeah, no, I'd actually say that like the distinction on if qualia is like qualitative or quantitative isn't necessarily relevant to the position. And I don't mind
it is relevant.
So,
you want me to tell you how it's relevant?
So I'm going to need to be able to speak, man. Like we can't.
Well, I don't care. Do you want me to tell you how it's relevant?
I'd first like to demonstrate how it specifically is not relevant. Would you let me do that?
Yeah, go ahead and then I'll tell you how it's relevant.
Yeah, sure. Right. So like in the context of like what subjective experiences are, right? Like at the start of the debate, I did give you pushback on how I didn't really want to engage in meta conversation. However, right, like I don't mind doing so, right? So we kind of went through exactly what subjective experiences are under my worldview, how we define them, and how it reduced down to qualia. You then push for further meta conversation in the context of like, if I think the mind is identical to the brain, I told you I'm a substance dualist, and now you're pushing for even further meta conversation on like what exactly qualia is and if it's qualitative or quantitative. Right. But what I'm specifically telling you here is like, I don't feel like these distinctions are relevant to the position as a whole. And like an example to like show you what I mean here, right? It's like scientists in like the 1850s were able to denote that a atom can exist. However, meanwhile, not being able to necessarily denote, right, what would construct an atom, right? Breaking it down to like the subatomic particles, right? And that's kind of what we're doing with my position right now. You're breaking it down to the subatomic particles on like saying if qualia is like qualitative or quantitative. So it's just super irrelevant. Like we can continue to talk about the meta, but I just feel like it's detracting from the main purpose of the conversation.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you how exactly it's relevant, right? Your position hinges on this qualia that you're talking about. That's how you're going to cash out this subjective experience, that you create a conjunction between past and future, thus making abortion okay. And the reason why we have to have conversations about some of these things is for me to get a better understanding of exactly what you mean by these terms that you're using. I had to ask you 6 different times what you meant by subjective experience before you gave me an answer. And then you just said it was qualia. You were going to give me examples without telling me what it means. You said qualia, and then I asked you a very simple question. I said, is qualia quantitative or qualitative? And that conversation is going to get into a further conversation about what exactly you mean by qualia, which is eventually going to justify your position on abortion. Yes or no?
No, I'd specifically say no. Like, and when we're talking about like philosophy of mind, right, I could like claim to enough like knowledge beliefs in order to make like a fleshed out position. However, like if we're specifically talking about qualia being quantitative or qualitative, I just like haven't put much ponderance into the context of philosophy of mind to make said claim. So
is this not what your entire position hinges on?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's relevant. Could you explain to me on how if qualia...
Wait, I just told you how it's relevant and you didn't. Did you listen to what I said?
Yeah, it specifically did, but I don't think you demonstrated.
Okay, can you tell me what I said then?
So I'm going to go ahead and ask you a question now.
No, tell me what I said.
Yeah, you just specifically went down the meta conversation. Then you're like, well,
that's not what I said.
If qualia is like quantitative or qualitative, we'll have further discussion from there that your entire position apparently hinges on. But I'm just going to go ahead and ask you a good question in return. So
hold on. So do you understand, you just described my analysis of the conversation. Do you understand now how that actually is relevant to your position? Yes or no?
No, it's not relevant, no.
What I've heard so far is I have a position on a conjunct between subjective experiences. I don't know what these subjective experiences are. I haven't really done any reading in it. I'm agnostic about it, but I'm just going to say that abortion is justified and it's not actually relevant to my position. That's what you've said to me so far.
Yeah, so the specific claim is that if qualia is quantitative or quantitative, it's not relevant to the position.
Once again, is because your entire position on abortion hinges on the fact that this qualia is a real thing and that people have these experiences, and that's what you value about human beings.